I'm Gabe Lullo, and welcome to the Do Hard Things podcast. We're talking to go-to-market leaders and entrepreneurs who have conquered the challenges, the hustle, and the grind. Get ready for real talk, real insights, and no fluff.
But the hardest thing in the world right now is not actually closing deals, it's actually getting somebody's attention.
If you don't have that hook in that first 5 to 10 seconds, guess what? They're going to scroll to the next one.
You need to go in and you need to make it sound like yourself. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle. And I promise you, we can all tell.
The people that are trolls and the people that are haters never done the thing that you're doing.
I love doing this podcast because I get a front row seat to some of the greatest minds in sales.
Gone are the days of saying stay in your lane. When you're an executive leader and you're an enterprise-wide leader, there are no lanes. You've got to be partners.
Curiosity is like when the type of questions you ask is sometimes the value that you bring.
I need you to tell me when you're ready to buy or what you're ready to do. And I think it's changed so much into like adding more value. And if you're not doing that, then you're definitely going to come off as desperate.
High pressure selling is like a dinosaur tactic at this point.
No parent is like, oh, you should be a salesperson when you grow up, right? Everyone's like a doctor, lawyer, whatever crap. It's never salespeople.
It's not your job to motivate people. It's your job to find motivated people.
It's not cockiness. It's not arrogance. It's confidence knowing I know this and I know that I can help you.
From where I started to where I am today is all because I learned how to sell.
And there's too many people who have only been doing this for 5 freaking minutes. Sit down, close your mouth, actually go out there and get yourself beat up. Then come back and tell me if something is dead or not.
That is exactly why I started this podcast, because right there, that's the epitome of doing hard things.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Do Hard Things podcast. I am super excited to be introducing our guest speaker. I'm your host, Gabe Lullo, and Martin MacArthur is the man. I mean, we've been following Martin for quite some time. He's a friend of the company. I asked him not too long ago to share some wisdom with our sales team, and he jumped at it and shared some amazing training with our organization. He's in the same space as we are. We're friendly competitors. We call ourselves allies because, there's a huge market for us to go after. But I respect him in a big, big way. And here's why. He's been doing this for 14 years, sales development, digital marketing, pipeline growth. But you're going to hear a story. But despite him being fully blind, Martin has mastered technology like Apple VoiceOver to stay ahead in his field. And he's been, no challenge, is too great for him to accomplish his craft. He specializes in helping companies generate qualified leads, building sustainable sales pipelines. He has an innovative approach and combines both technology and humanization, personalized strategies to create that long-term business. So Martin, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much for having me, Gabe. And that was a really lovely intro, and I really appreciate that. And was hoping that you would you kind of give the viewers audience a little glimpse into the backstory, because when people they see me online on LinkedIn commenting and posting, engaging and whatnot, they don't really know that I'm totally blind. So it's I'm glad that you brought that right at the beginning. So thanks, man.
Well, let's talk about it if you're open to it.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And our show is called Do Hard Things, and we know our space is hard, our sales is hard. It's harder than ever before to get people, on a phone call and to move them into action. But you and I both have elected to do this as our career. So my biggest thing though is you have obviously something that you have to work through, which is how do you navigate this? How do you do this without seeing physical screens? And how does it work, man? I'm curious. And then I also love secondarily to hear your origin story. How did you get in this industry? How did you get into sales, right? I always say people don't go to college for sales. Usually there's a reason why someone's in it or a story that got them there. So I'd love to hear your origin story.
Yeah, for sure. So twofold. I'll address the first one first. So how I navigate technology, like you said in the intro there, if it weren't for somebody really who is an incredible genius at Apple, if they didn't create this accessibility feature in their native OS, whether it's iOS, macOS, and it's not just for blind people. Like, it's not just a screen reader. They have accessibility features for any type of disability. So they're probably, I would say, the only company that is absolutely 100% inclusive to anyone who wants to use their product. And so what I use their screen reader function, which is called VoiceOver. And what it does is it reads everything as long as it is um, coded, or I guess coded would be the right word. As long as it's coded properly and labeled properly, my screen reader will read back to me what is on the screen. So, like if an image, for instance, has the alt text labeled properly, it will read that to me. It'll say that I'm on an image, but it will read whatever that alt text is. Um, Now, here is where the big challenge is for me. With, I would say, 98%, maybe 99% of the tools that you and I use, and every SDR uses in their day-to-day, that technology is not built or manufactured for someone in my situation. And I get it. I'm a unique person, right? Unique case. But like a lot of these tools, they'll just slap a button. They'll call it a button. For example, like with a dialer, they'll just go into the dialer and it will just be a bunch of buttons that my screen reader's reading to me. And for me, like, that's useless. I have no idea. Am I on the dialer? Am I on the analytics? Am I on settings? And to try and navigate that day after day after day, it's just way too frustrating. And wouldn't be able to do my job. And then also with all these new growth hacking tools, I guess you would call them, like Clay and Trigify and all these other tools. I've tested them. I've played around with them. I get them. Like, I understand them. I think they're useful and they have a place. But again, they are not made for someone who uses a screen reader, and that just creates a whole host of frustration. So um, the one dialer that actually is really useful for me, and I give them huge kudos, is Salesfinity. I know a lot of people, they don't like their actual product, but for me, it works. So yeah, maybe it's not the best, maybe it's not the sexiest, maybe it doesn't have all the Mercedes Benz features in it, but it works for me. So that's the primary thing, because, like, as you know, when we're prospecting, if we're not solving a problem, then go away, right? Because, like, people just don't have the time for you, and if I'm using a tool and it's not helping me solve a problem, it's creating more of a problem, then why am I going to purchase that, or tell my founder, be like, yo, invest in this tool because it's what we should be using, but by the way, I can't use it. So that's just the challenge there. I'm not the fastest caller. I'm not using all the sexy tech that everyone else is using. But for me, there's only three things I need to really do my job effectively, and that's a dialer, which I found one in Salesfinity, LinkedIn for sharing my unique story, my authentic story, um, and email. And those three channels, they work for me. And fortunately, I've got a really great partner here at the SD Lab in Tom Slocum, who runs everything efficiently in the back end for me. So it makes me look like a freaking genius when I'm not really.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you for taking me through that, because again, you're all over LinkedIn, you're leading, the charge in a world in which, many would think they would need sight to do so, and you're leading that, and it's incredible to know how you do it. And shout out to the tech stacks that you've brought up. But I do ask, like, why sales? How did you get into this game, and why is it something that you get excited about and passionate about, every morning?
Yeah, so I got it. I stumbled into it. So I went to college for business. I got introduced to a few different avenues, finance, which I no, unless it's a commission check, I don't care about finance. Like I'm not a numbers person. So I got a little touch of finance, marketing, um, HR, like all those facets. And marketing and sales was just something that I kept gravitating to. And I remember this one course. It was uh, around rapport, building rapport. And I remember like we had to do these mock cold calls and role plays, and it was like at first, yeah, okay, that's kind of intimidating and a little scary, but um, then the professor, he was just like, no, just you're you're just talking to somebody, so just get rid of all the nervous energy and just think of how you would talk to somebody if you just approach them in at dinner or out on the street or whatever. And I've always taken that kind of mindset, that approach with me. Um, but then when I graduated school, I was trying to figure out what was next, and I just came upon this company that was they were looking for a at the time they called it telemarketer, but it was really an SDR, and they had nothing. Like they had nothing. They were just it was a small voice over IP company. They just started this business. The main founder came from construction, and it was like, oh, okay, well, I don't really know anything about this at all. And they just, well, here's what we want you to say. Here's a phone. Yes, an actual desk phone. I know like 90% of people don't know what those are, but um, and they just said, "Go find some people to call on," and that was that. And that was obviously really exhausting because it was like just there's nothing there, not what you and I and all these SDRs have today, right? Like it was just basically, fortunately, Google was around, so you could research, but LinkedIn hadn't really come out on the scene yet. And I was just reaching out to people, calling, getting slammed in the face a lot, but just refined. This just went over in my head. Okay, what went wrong there? What could I have said better? And then listen to some of the objections and just started to kind of build a framework from there. And then that just evolved, moving into some other roles. Eventually, in I think it was 2018 or 2019, I got introduced to Ryan Reiser, who was launching his company, The Sales Developers, and him and I end up getting together, and I worked with him, and that was my first introduction into like the real outbound sales as a service space. And ever since then, I've just been really passionate about having conversations with people. Yeah, people aren't always friendly, um, because they got shit going on in their day that you don't realize, and I can totally relate to that because for the past 6 years, I had a severe kidney disease and ended up needing a transplant. But there's a lot of days in the past 6 years where I was grumpy. I was not feeling well, and people would cold call me, and I was probably like those same nasty prospects that I've reached out to in the past. But at the end of the day, you're having a conversation, and you know, as you and I both know, there's so many people who just hate the thought of having to reach out to somebody, whether it's on the phone, through social, video, like whatever the avenue is. They just have like so much anxiety around having to do that task. They don't want to do it. They just would rather, well, okay, we'll let people come to us, and that's not. Yeah, that works to some extent, but it's not the best model to rely on. So that's really what gets me fired up in about our space, even though it's there's a lot of challenges right now, right? Fewer people will pick up the phone, so you just got to be a little more persistent and tenacious than maybe what you once were. But yeah, that's really what what drives me in the space that we're in, and I do really think that it's a very exciting space to be a part of.
Right. Well, what a story, man. Thank you so much for taking us through that. Inspiring to say the least. You mentioned just recently, it's harder, right? And it is more challenging. And so let's talk about that, right? Because you've built
Mhm.
a reputation for, really coming up with great innovative outreach strategies to drive that top of funnel growth. Can you walk us through, some approaches that in creating those strategies right now? Like what is setting and what do you think is being set apart right now to deal with those challenges that the industry has been dealing with?
Yeah, I think really what is the key difference right now for standing out and not being, not uh, allowing it to be so tough and challenging is the human aspect of it. Whether that's, um, sending somebody a video or a voice note on LinkedIn or in an email, um, connecting with them on LinkedIn and nurturing that, establishing a relationship, nurturing that relationship. Yeah, it's not going to result in an instant result. Maybe, one or two might, but overall, like on a large scale, it's not going to. And then I strongly believe like as challenging as the phone is, I still believe the phone is a really good viable channel. And if people look up the recent post from the Nooks team there this week. I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, and they shared just like how many of their reps are crushing quota just from using the phone. So I think by using like real authentic mediums to reach people, that's what's gonna help you stand out above these AI mass sending platforms, whether it's, email, whether it's AI SDRs, which don't get me going on because I don't believe that's a viable channel. But just being real, authentic, and showing, demonstrating that, hey, I'm an actual human being. I'm not just another AI bot or AI trigger, whatever, right? Like it's just being real and authentic. And if you can do that, you're gonna really stand out above the above the fold.
Yeah. Actually, I'm actually gonna ask you to get going on it, even though you said you didn't want to get going on it, right? Uh, because I'm getting hit left and right, right, with founders of companies coming to me saying, "Hey, we want to listen to your calls, or we want to do a collaboration. We want to, build the next AI technology for SDRs." And it's interesting because you're an advocate of technology. Obviously, we just talked about it, how it, without it, you can't do your role, even with being blind. I obviously in the same way. I can't run a sales development team without best in class technology these days, or we're setting ourselves behind. It's not like it used to when we both started, when we were just able to pick up a phone that we physically held every day to make calls. Right now, it's all tech and SaaS to help us drive our daily method of operation. But here's my question: how do you become an advocate of technology driven sales, but also balance that technology with that human touch? And how do you build that strong relationship with prospects and clients with on the human side of it versus just having everyone use AI to do it for us?
Yep. That's a really great question. So here is my view and my thought on AI, and I'm sure people will hammer me on it, and that's cool. Where I really see AI benefiting sales in general, whether that's top of funnel, whether it's middle, bottom of funnel, marketing, whatever. Where I feel and believe AI is really beneficial is in is supporting the function. So what I mean by that is in gathering that all the information you need for building your list. because we know that's a humongous time suck for a rep to try and build a list and find the person's mobile number or their email address or whatever it is, that piece of information that you're looking for. And the same for researching. AI can help you pull together some valuable points and information fairly quickly, that you can then tie into your talk track or your email. And then the same with the tech, like, with Salesfinity, whenever I have a conversation with a prospect, their AI is in the background pushing all that information back to our CRM, HubSpot. Um, and it's doing some other cool things that, I'm sure I'm not utilizing all of its capabilities, but that is where I see the power of AI is reducing all the administrative, the time sucking aspects of reps day to day, where I do not see it having any place. And people challenge me on this a lot, and that's cool. They're right. But my opinion is where it's not going to replace is one-to-one human conversation.
Right.
You're not going to be able to load a list into an AI SDR platform or bot or like whatever, however it works, because I don't even take the time to figure that out. But you're not going to load a list in and reach Gabe and have an AI sound and carry a conversation with Gabe, just you know, as if I reached out and said, "Hey Gabe, how's it going today, man? It's been a while since we chatted. What's going on in your world?" Or like, however you would have that conversation is not. It's just not going to sound natural or lifelike.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, as I totally agree. And I think, we actually were talking, you and me, last year around this time when everyone under the sun was forecasting their magic 8 ball that right now, this time that we're currently in at the end of 2024, that, AI is going to replace the entire SDR function.
Yeah.
And now we see that that's exactly the opposite of what's happening. They're still trying, but it's not working. And I feel the exact same way.
Like if you need a bot or a third party, and I don't mean it in terms of a third party like you or I, with an agency reaching out, but if you need a an artificial person to reach out to you to have a conversation, well then that to me is concerning because
Yeah.
why aren't you why don't you want to pick up the phone and have just a conversation with somebody? Like if you're that afraid to do so, then you know you should probably reach out to the SD Lab or Alley Loop because they got a roster of people that will do it more naturally than those machines will.
Absolutely. All right. So where are companies missing? And here's my question. You work with a variety of companies, right? You're helping them scale, you're generating qualified leads. Where do you see those most common mistakes that companies are making right now when it comes to sales development? And why do you think that's the case?
There's two parts to that. So when it comes to companies who do not have that team in place, and they're just trying to do it all on their own, the biggest challenge, and this is a challenge that I've come across in I would say the past 5 to maybe 7 years or more, is figuring out and nailing their target, their exact ideal customer. And so many just that I speak to, they just do not really know who is their best fit customer. Um, and why is that the case? Like what makes up their best customer? So often, like I'll be speaking with a prospect, and I'll ask them who's your best fit customer? Like who would you ideally want to if we were successful to work together and we got you a meeting, who exactly do you want to be speaking with? And they'll throw out like 3, 4, 5 different titles and personas and companies, sizes, industries. It's like, oh, No, we need to, especially early on in your outbound journey, you need to figure out one specific, master that, become the industry expert in the exact space first with that exact prospect. Then you can look at moving on to another one, another one, another one. But don't like if you're just trying to sling mud against the wall to see okay who's going to fit. Well, then your outbound's not going to work, and you're going to end up coming back in probably about 2 to 3 months and be like, well, outbound's not working. You guys are failing. You don't know what you're doing. Well, of course we don't know what we're doing because we're experimenting. You don't know what you're doing. Like we don't. We're trying to do our best, but unless you know who it is that you want to reach out to, and you know the problem that you can help them solve, we're we're just you're just paying us to throw mud at the wall. And unless they can figure that out, that's a big challenge right there. The other challenge um, is not allowing outbound the time required for it to truly work, or at least truly provide you with enough data to say outbound is not viable for us. So often people will, by about the 3 month mark of a campaign will be like, well, this isn't working for us. We've got nothing, and outbound's just not working. Well, hold on. You're looking at, when you launch an outbound campaign, you're looking at probably the first month, maybe half of the first month, but usually the entire first month of getting everything in place, the infrastructure, the messaging, the target, everything in place. Then you're reaching out to people in the second month. So by the third month, maybe you've had some conversations. Well, those conversations are going to compound over the third month, the fourth month, 6 months. And then we're going to start getting into those conversations, understanding, are we talking to the right people? Is it the right time? Is it the right message? Is it the right problem? And then we can provide all that data back to you to say, yes, outbound is actually working for you, but we need to refine a few things in order to really work. But those would be the two areas on the actual outbound, companies that are looking for a true outsourced partner. On the other side of it, where in terms of like the coaching and training aspect of it, where a company has a team of SDRs, there's two areas there as well. One is not being willing enough to pick up the phone and embrace the phone to have conversations with prospects. And the other is this, going back to what we were kind of saying a few minutes ago about the whole AI thing, is they're so in, they have such a trance for Clay, tools like Clay, or all these really cool, sexy tools and technology, instead of dedicating maybe an hour in the evening or their own time on the weekends, what have you, to dig into those, instead of doing their actual job of getting in front of prospects and having conversations. So those are the areas that I really see where the challenges and that disconnect are.
I wish you couldn't see me because my head is going up and down every single second you're talking because you know what I mean? So I could totally agree with what you're saying, but this is
Yeah.
awesome. So let's switch here because we're in the people business. We all know that. We know we just been talking about it. Let's talk about those SDRs who are listening, right? Or the ones who want to be SDRs who are listening. Um,
Yeah.
you want to be a doctor, you got to get a medical degree. If you want to be a lawyer, you got to get a law degree, right? If you want to be an
Yep.
accountant, you got to get your CPA license. You know, what do you need to have to be an SDR, right? So if you're interviewing for an SDR role to join your company, what are those 2 or 3 things that you just like are must-haves when it comes to, wanting them to join the team, or her to join the team, and locking arms with them to get to work?
Yeah, so I would say there's probably, there's a number, but I would say three primary. Number one is curiosity, because we're in a, kind of like a doctor, right? When you go to your doctor's office, they ask you a million questions. When you'll go in there and say, okay, I've got a pain in my knee. Well, they're asking you a bunch of questions to find out, is it actually your knee? Well, that's curiosity, right? Because they're trying to find that information out, and so SDRs need to be they need to be curious. Like, go into every conversation curious, and that will definitely serve you well. The other one is coachability. Are you willing to take really tough criticism? Um, because I've been in this position a few times. Fortunately, I've got pretty thick skin, big shoulders. I can take it because I can also dish it out. But can you actually take criticism from leadership in order to improve and become 1% better than what you were?
Right.
Because if you're not, then you're probably not going to be overly successful. And the other one and this is a really big one for me, and I get away from it sometimes, as we get lazy with ourselves, but is accountability. Are you holding yourself accountable for, okay, I was terrible on that call, and this is why? Are you holding yourself accountable to understand, okay, this is what I could have done better myself, not going to leadership, not going to a peer, but just taking that micro, maybe take 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever, and just replay the call back quickly in your head, and like, okay, the prospect said that. Did I actually listen to them, or did I breeze over? And then you can, at the end of the day, or what have you, you can dig into your um, call recording, because everyone's got some type of conversational intelligence where they've got the call recorded, but just holding yourself accountable, because it's not leadership's job to make you accountable. That I've always believed is on you to hold yourself accountable.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, this has been phenomenal. I get to know you more and more as we do these calls. Where do people find you? And more importantly, who is the person that should be reaching out to you? What type of company, what type of position, who is that person you want to chat with?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I love chatting with everybody. So ideally, if we're talking business, it's founder, early stage to Series A company that's struggling with their outbound, whether they have a team, they're just trying to get something in place, whatever. That's the ideal industry. Um, my the SD lab, we've got a few different verticals that we play in, but for me, where I've excelled has been managed IT services, IT security, cloud security, that type of space, and SaaS and digital marketing. So those are, I can really share some battle scars from those three spaces. Um, SDRs, feel free to reach out to me if you're struggling. I'm always happy to just chat about things. Whether I can help you or not, I don't know, but I'm always happy to be a resource, be a sounding board, because I think you know my kind of mindset has always been, there's been a ton of people that have helped get me to where I am today, and they continue to do so, and I just feel that it's, you know you should help pave the way for those coming up behind you. So SDRs, I'm always happy to chat, and and if unfortunately there's a ton out there looking for new gigs, new roles for whatever reason, I've got a large network, so I'm always happy to make intros, connections, what have you. And to find me, you can always find me on LinkedIn. You can just search the Outbound Sales Guy. That's my brand, and I think I'm like the first three people that pop up on LinkedIn if you search that.
Awesome. Martin MacArthur, thank you so much. I mean, you're just a servant leader, and I think that's why you're so good at what you do. Like you just mentioned, you're willing to help out anyone who is in the space, whether they're a brand new STR or someone who has been doing this for a while, just to chat them up and help out in every way. And I know that's how you treat your clients as well, and that's why you've been so successful. So I love growing our businesses alongside yours. So thank you so much for your time today, and
Yeah.
we appreciate you, man.
I really appreciate you guys, what you're doing there. Like you said, we are competitors, but we're friendly competitors. We're friends, as well as competitors, and there's so much opportunity for you, for me, for a couple other people that are out there doing the same type of thing. And yeah, man, like I just enjoy the chances that we get to connect, and have a conversation and chat it up. So I really appreciate you having me on today, and it's been a blast as always.
Awesome. Thanks, Martin.